And I think we're live.
Hello and welcome to the most exciting Warhammer Meta Chasers episode yet.
Whoa.
Where we
It's
run
true.
down
It's true.
where we run down the biggest and best tournaments coming up over the weekend. We're going to talk about what factions you're going to see there, the armies, the players, top ranked players, personalities. We're going to tell you what you're going to see there and how to beat it, maybe how to beat it. My name is Paul Murphy, your host, joined by Adam Camilleri
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
and Dustin Henshaw.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to everyone in the chat. This is a live show. We do this 9 p.m. Eastern-ish every Thursday.
Hey, we're pretty close. We're pretty close.
Yeah, look, we're working out some of the bugs of the technical stuff on this new channel. If this is your first time listening to us, welcome. If you have stumbled upon us to know that we do this live on YouTube, you can come check us out and sub there, or you can listen to us anywhere you can get podcasts. That should be up and running pretty soon. If it's not at your preferred podcast aggregator yet, it will be soon. This episode, we got a couple of nice shout outs. Where in the world is War Games Live?
Mm-hmm. He is at the Fun and Games GT in Blacksburg, Virginia. 24 players, 5 rounds. You can join and enjoy that beautiful content all weekend. In addition, though, what are you doing this weekend?
Yep. So Warhammer Fest is this weekend. So there's, how many Warhammer fans descending on Manchester in the UK? I will be basically hanging out at home like some of y'all folks listening and also doing commentary and talking about the event as well. So I will be streaming live on the Games Workshop Warhammer Twitch channel, bringing you all kind of content from the weekend. There's going to be previews over the weekend, tournament coverage, some other things. You never know. It's a live show. You don't know what to expect, especially when it's going live for that long. Come join us. I can't wait. This episode, though, 3 huge team events. 2 of those team events basically within walking distance of each other.
Legitimately, like somewhere adjacent to London, you could just walk to these events. Like, there might be some water in the way, a small body of water. You could just it's just over there. But, this region, you look at the UK and then down to the right and to the Iberian Peninsula, there are 2 100-plus player, one is a 200-plus player team events happening. It feels like within spitting distance of each other. We don't know the nuance of why this occurs every year, but this weekend, every year, this magic coalesces.
One of it's like ladder matches that eventually lead to another third singular.
Yes.
Oh, maybe they're trying to they're trying to narrow down the actual WTC team, so they got it on this half of the country plays here, this half of the country plays here, and then we fight again in a couple weeks.
We'll have to get some intel from our friends at Deep Games over there and see if.
Exactly right. We don't know why animals attack, and we still don't know why the Spanish choose to do this every weekend once a year.
This is when the drop bears are actually hibernating. It's the safest time to do all the team events.
Exactly right. We also have a team event from California as well.
That's the first one we're going to talk about. The California
exactly right.
Team Championship from Irvine, California. Here in the U.S., 83 players, 16 teams of 5. So
a couple of people have listed their coach.
In
their team.
Right,
so a couple of teams have 6 players, but 5 playing members.
I was like, look, we're not good at geography. Sometimes we're not good at math, but something
that thing you boys just did, I did, and I have to figure out why. What? Is there like a team of Gumbies with only 3 dudes in it for like when people it's a couple of people listed their coaches in their 5-pack.
Okay, so 3 people have coaches with listed in there is what you're saying.
Essentially.
Okay. So I'm interested.
5 rounds and team tournaments are a special kind of thing. If this is your first time joining us here, we talk about the factions you're going to see there at a team event. Typically, a faction cannot be chosen more than once for a team. So you can't have a team with 5 Marine players or 2 Eldari players or whatever. So when we read down the factions of this, it may be a little bit skewed to maybe what you expect, but that's because of the enforced composition of how these teams are created. Dustin, would you mind writing down the list and telling us what we're going to see there?
I would love to. The Imperial Super Faction, there are 3 Sisters of Battle, 3 Custodes, 1 Admech, 8 Astra Militarum, 2 Grey Knights, and 3 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, 1 Dark Angel, 1 Blade Angel, 1 Salamander, 1 Raven Guard, 3 Iron Hands. Chaos, there's 1 Chaos Space Marine, 1 T-Sun, 4 Death Guard, 6 World Eaters, 5 Demons, and 6 Renegade Knights. Xenos, there's 3 Necrons, 5 Orcs, 4 Tau, 5 Votan. Hive Mind, 3 Tyranids, 5 G-Slur Cult. They're doing it right. Eldar, there's 1 Drukhari, 1 Harlequin, 4 Suriani, 1 Yanari, which means the faction podium is Astra Militarum topping it off at 8. Again, 50% of the teams, we didn't go over 50% again. World Eaters, Renegade Knights in second with 6, and then Votan, Oryx, Demons, and GSC in third with 5. So, what do you
That's
think?
surprising.
Yeah. Apart from guard, it's a very good spread.
Yeah.
Well, think of this.
Apart from guard.
Like the guard, and once we saw them in the last week's too, we were talking about team events. I think Astra Militarum were the only ones to crack that halfway point, and everything else sitting at that, 40% or so.
Well,
Yeah.
this shows a pretty healthy meta where no one list is a dominant. Well,
Healthy
you could
team
only
meta.
argue.
Let's be specific. Healthy team meta.
Exactly right. You could only argue guard is a problem in this meta,
Yes.
and even then you couldn't argue that they're so much better than everybody else that every team must take them to compete.
I would
'Cause that is not
argue
true.
that Astra Militarum are an army that a lot of people don't have enough models to actually run it, though.
That's fair. I mean, who has 3 Dawns, right?
Who has
I know
3
I
Dorns?
can't buy Sentinels. I have to.
Yeah,
I have to.
the Sentinels
I'm trying
too,
to.
exactly.
I'm scrambling to find 80 mil bases to put on my old Sentinels because I can't buy new Sentinels. Let alone do I want to go buy $80 for 1 Sentinel and get like 9 of those? No.
Yeah.
We ain't doing that again. We ain't doing that again, people.
Again.
Get the bigger bases. You'll limp along with your other Sentinels in there. We typically try to highlight a couple of teams as well. In this instance, since we are covering 3 team events, we're just going to highlight one team
One
list,
team.
and then we'll kind of mix up, what we do. And say, chat. Thanks for hopping off in the chat and say, yeah, what's up to everybody that has just found us over here. If you only found us over here, let us know. If you're new, brand new, we'd like to say, hey, welcome. And thanks for coming and spending time with us live. And certainly I'll give a shout out to the folks that are listening to us after the fact too. I'm going to implore people to help us grow the channel over here and leave us some 5-star reviews along the way. Sorry, now we're going to jump into the team.
All right, here we go.
Beautiful. So we have Team Zero Comp. Many of you may know this is the team that was started by some of the OG ITC legends that kicked us off for things like the LVO. Reese and Frankie were part of this team originally from the Beautiful Frontline Gaming, which we were formerly a part. And they've got a pretty good, strong team in attendance, and I wanted to highlight them. First up, we have an Astra Militarum Born Soldiers list. It's pretty straightforward. 30 Kassakin, 3 Lehman Russes, a Dawn, and a bunch of MSU Scions, which I am starting to fall more and more in love with the little patrol of Scions. Then we have an Asuriani Harlequins list. This is Masterful Shots and Swift Strikes with some light Sadith Harlequins. It's got MSU Fast Good Stuff, that being the Asuriani portion, plus Baharoth and Karandris, and then 3 troops in boats. That good stuff, of course, being Banshees, Scorps, Shroud Runners, Wind Riders, etc. We have an Iron Hand Successor, which is Whirlwinds of Rage and Master Artisans, 10 Vanguard Veterans, a 1 unit of 10 Scouts, which is interesting, full strength drop pod.
2 units of 5. That is.
So this is a thing that's happened to some of the players of the Iron Hands. So just the rest of the list is, of course, the Super Volkite Contemptor and the 2x5 Desolators. But when you want to have heavy support be your 6 slot, which of course Iron Hands want to do, you find yourself you're coming into the problems that you need the melee in the Vanguard Veterans, otherwise you're not the well-rounded juggernaut that Iron Hands have come to be known as, but you still want the Scouts. So what you do is you take 10 Scouts, because of course the Volkite Contemptor is now being confirmed in the FAQ as taking up one of those slots. He's not a character. You don't get to take him for free. So then you only have 3 slots because you've got to take all the heavy supports because Desolators are so good, the devs are so good. So you take 10 Scouts and 2 Land Speeder Swarms and you combat squad the Scouts. And then they both have a Land Speeder Swarm, and you got 5x5. You can even split one up so they have all the heavy weapons and the special weapons, or special and heavy. And then you still get your 2 Scouts and your 2 Storms, and you get all your cake and you eat it too.
Man,
so
thank God. The Marines really needed to make sure they could fit all their stuff. I was really worried. About
thanks for being
Marines there.
sympathetic. We really appreciate it.
Really
It's a
worried
little.
about Marines.
It's a little touch of innovation that I think is helping Marines continue their absolute bullshit. Anyway, World Eaters is up next. Lord Invocatus MSU build, but this one has Land Raider and 3 War Dogs.
What did he
to kind of
drop for the Land Raider?
It's got a Land Raider, yeah.
But what did he drop for it?
8 bound? Not that much. Yeah, I think it was 1 unit of 8 bound, and I think he's got one larger unit of Zerkers and only one small unit of Zerkers. So he's dropped like 1 or 2 units of Zerkers plus a unit of
Oh.
8-bound against the Land Raider.
No
And 3
spawn.
War Dogs. Yes, I think it's only 1 or 2 spawns. So maybe
Oh,
he
come
lost
on,
a spawn
man.
as well. I mean, mistakes were made, obviously. Then we
No,
have
no Hellbrutes. What's going on with this list?
we have Leagues of Votann is Ymir, the big old glom itself. Max units of Pioneers and 3x5 Thunderkin. So no Sagittars, no melee, no Hecatons, just infantry and bikes. And I actually like that list a lot. But boys, what do you make of this 5-pack in totality?
I love the Astro Military. They're if you're trying to win and you can bring guard, you bring guard. Space Marines of some kind, usually Iron Hands is probably the way to go. World Eaters, those are 3 I think that I've always said you have all of those in all of your lists. Then the other 2 are spicy ones. The leagues, I like the build. The Thunderkin Pioneers, I feel like that's just what you do with them. The rest of the list doesn't matter. Like
It doesn't.
Maybe
it really doesn't.
Maybe
Hence,
a Hecaton.
hence I haven't written it in because it doesn't
So,
matter.
it doesn't matter. It's like, what's the rest of the list? Doesn't matter. Like, that's what you got to worry about. Kill those things, then you're fine.
Exactly.
I
Right.
got to pick on the World Eaters list a little bit. It's one of those where I think you're sacrificing too much out of it to give that insurance that you may not need because you have a hand in your matchup with the World Eaters. I mean, just as a come in back to slightly take the edge off that is they may be playing the player in that instance. They know that they're going to put them into situations that are you want that extra bit of insurance or a take all comer style maybe.
Well, I guess that's He probably doesn't have the Rhino in there too, right? So it's going to be the just bigger Rhino that a lot of other World Eater lists will have.
But you want it to die. You want those BTPs.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I'm not trying to defend that. I'm trying to justify it. I think that's
So, but you boys are correct. The World Eaters list is the only one I'll zero in on that I think has become less than the sum of its pasts, whilst trying to make it well-rounded. You look at Iron Hands. You make Iron Hands well-rounded, and they're so much better.
Yeah.
But in a team's environment, that is a boon. That is a plus. When you take World Eaters and you try and make them well-rounded, are you losing more than you're gaining?
I think
This is the questions we have to answer.
I think you are. World Eater specifically is one of those armies that like you can get them into a matchup that they don't need to be well-rounded because they are a list that just annihilates. That's what they're meant to do.
Yeah.
There's no middle ground. So like, okay, this game I'm going to sit back with my War Dogs and I'm going to shoot you. Like, no, you're still charging them. This is your World Eaters.
It's very interesting. And so maybe
with the pilot though, with the pilot, I mean that's what I think. Maybe playing the pilot in this case, and so there's a very specific reason with this why this list combination is in this other list of team.
And it could be that this is a newer World Eaters player, that they're coming from playing something that's more Daka-centric, that's more well-rounded, and they're not quite as confident to just be like, I can just go to 11 on the always be charging mode.
You got to have it in your heart.
Maybe they felt bad they couldn't take Renegade Knights, so they're like, okay, well maybe we can just squeeze some into the World Eaters and then make that Rhino a Land Raider, and then you're kind of like a mini Renegade Knight now.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, anyway, that is the 5-pack. I think they're going to do extremely well, regardless of any criticisms that we armchair generals have.
Real easy for us to sit back over here and talk about things.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
But I do
with
the team environments, though, it is such a different thing because you've got the matchups things, you've got the landscapes of the tables going typically from heavy down to light. There's all kind of things at work, and so there's a lot of action takes place right above the table and then on the table. Look forward to seeing how all the players do. We typically pick a winner, like a faction or a player that we think is going to win this thing. I think we're going to do for this particular episode, a very special episode of Warhammer Meta Chasers, a different type of analysis towards the end of the show. So with that said, I'm just going to go ahead and jump to the next tournament. That's okay with y'all?
Yeah, I'm good.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
We've got the second degree Grand Tournament for Malarusa, Spain. The sources are telling me that's in Europe.
Is in fact in Europe, unlike Palestine, Ohio.
240 players, 40 teams of 6. It's a 5-round event. Much like before, we're going to run down the stats. Dustin, what we're going to see there.
There's a lot of teams. Holy crap. So Imperial
It's huge.
6 Sisters Battle, 18 Custodes, 3 AdMech, 16 Astro Militarum. Are you kidding me? There's more Custodes than... Oh, wow. 10 Grey Knights, 9 Imperial Knights, Space Marines, there's 9 Dark Angels, 7 Space Wolves, 4 Blood Angels, 1 Ultramarine, 1 Salamander, 6 Black Templar, 1 Raven Guard, 5 Iron Hands, and 1 Death Watch. Chaos, there's 3 Chaos Space Marines, 6 T-Suns, 16 Death Guard. The Europeans and their Death Guard, they're still...
Dude,
They love their Death
bizarre.
Guard.
Bringing them out.
Jeez. 8 World Eaters, 20 Demons. Yeah, there it is. That one doesn't surprise me as much, actually. I just wanted to emphasize it. 9 Knights, Xenos, there's 10 Necrons, 15 Orcs, 13 Talon, 11 Votan. Hive Mind, there's 8 Tyranids and 5 Gs they're called. Poor Hive Mind. Eldari, there's 6 Drukhari, 3 Harlequins, 6 Asuryani, and 7 Ynnari, meaning the faction podium is Demons, topping off the team tournament. Again, 50%, not more than 50% at 20.
And that's
Custodes in second
crazy.
18. Astra Militarum and Death Guard in third with 16.
How long's it been between Death Guard podiums, boys? It's been a bit.
It's been a bit.
It's been a bit.
It's been a bit.
Let alone at a freaking team event.
But it's Europe, so we expect it. Yeah.
It's exactly, dude, exactly right. The Euros, they love their stinky boys. I don't know why.
Love that hug in the ground, just earning every bit of real estate that you can harvest across the table.
Spot on. Really, some really interesting breakdowns from this. First and foremost, the one that Dustin pointed out: more Custodes than Guard. What the hell?
Yeah.
Like you would expect it. I mean, Guard is on the podium, undeniably one of the strongest factions in the game, if not the strongest. But to have it last on the podium rather than second or third, and to have equal numbers with Death Guard and Custodes being more, why do we think that could be?
Custodes are a good team list, but the other thing is too, this is a 6-man team now. And we still didn't get over 50% representation. Wow.
Yeah, we didn't get over 50%. It's wild.
That's wild. But the team event structures, like the meta of the team events must be really good right now. But anyway, to answer your question more so, I don't know, because Astra Militarum are like, they should be in every team if you can bring it. So the only thing I can think of is that people couldn't field them, honestly.
No, I don't know. I think a lot of that Astra Militarum are like, you know what? I've played Astra Militarum a lot. I'm just going to Demons counter them. Death Guard pretty good at enduring against them.
Do
I think they said...
I don't think so.
Like the high strength weapons don't matter so much.
No, but the mortars, mortars are still really good.
The Zinch Demons do counter them.
I've seen that. Caster can mulch the Zinch Demons.
Yeah, when they could do 6 models to everything, sure. I actually think Zinch Demons is not a bad matchup for Guard. The traditional Demons lists really struggle, but Zinch Demons, they want to hunt the Guard, they want to hunt the Votan, hunt the Tower, the big shooting, blast.
We've been seeing lots of Slanesh.
Even so, because of the team event, you're not, if it's that bad of a counter, you just don't put it in there. What else counters Guard right now?
Very little. Yeah, very little.
So don't fight the Zinch and you're good to go.
I actually don't hate
toughness.
Yeah, I don't hate Orcs into Guard. On a couple of fronts, depending on the table pick. With Guard getting table pick in a teams event, it's very hard to counter them.
Well, the thing with the Guard too, I get that a lot of missions against a lot of matchups, it can be just a coin flip of who goes first. Like if they go against World Eaters that go first, they could be in trouble. They go against Orcs that go first, they could be in trouble.
Exactly right. Yep.
We need an exit poll on this tournament. Somebody there, please let us know, because I'm willing to bet that the reason they're not higher Astra Militarum is because some of those have gone for Custodes and Demons.
Or they're at the other Spanish event.
Could be as well, we'll see. We'll see in a minute.
Could be as simple as that.
That's true.
One I would like to highlight is the Eldari super faction here. This is the first time I think we've seen Ynnari be the dominant of the sub factions. So they've got 7, whereas Drukhari and Asuryani both sitting at 6. It's actually good numbers for Drukhari in there as well. But having Ynnari as the number 1, I think makes a lot of sense in a 6-pack. I think there's a lot of games where they are a beautiful, as long as they're not first up, if they're on a medium or a heavy table, they have a beautiful, really even game plan into a multitude of different players.
We got a shout out for some Orcs in the chat also.
Well, not quite at this one, but hold tuned on the next one. We know the Spanish have birthed a couple of archetypes, one of those being the Death Skulls Orc Brigade. Back in bygone era, back before the Arcs of Omen, they birthed the Obsec Brigade, and it is alive and well. We'll be breaking down one of those lists in the next one. But let's go into that top 10 with attendance.
Go for it.
This is Feel No Pain 7+, and I hate to tell you, we've covered these guys just about every time they rock up to an event because they're a bunch of top lads, play like gentlemen, and they always kind of make a podium. First up, we have a Zinch Demons list. It has a Lord of Change, a Demon Prince, 10 Pinks, 14 Flamers, 11 Screamers, and 2 Chariots making up the list. We have a Tau Sept Tau list, which has a max unit of crisis suits. I think it's 5 of the 6, and then they're maxed out to the 9s, and then 3 hammerheads and long strike. So essentially, the 4 hammerheads. Oops! I hope you weren't vehicles. All big monsters.
That seems really vicious.
It's pretty aggressive. We have a Born Heroes Astra Militarum build with a single Dawn, 3 Russes, 20 Kasrkin, 6 Sentinels. So another pretty mech-heavy build. We have Eldari, which is Yunari and Light Harlequins. 2 units of 8 troop in the Yunari side of things, plus MSU Craft World melee. 3x3 Shroud Runners, Incarn, 2 units of troop in the light side of things with boats and the Death Jester. We have another Ymir Votan list. This one is 3 into Pioneers and 2 Hecatons. So instead of having the Thunderkin, has 3 small units of Pioneers, but has 2.
And that's more of what we call traditional list. Like this is
exactly
This is right after the Codex hit type of list.
Yeah, spot on.
Still
this is the pretty damn good into everything kind of list. Needs a little bit of a board pick to get full efficiency. And then we have a World Eaters list that is I was looking at like, oh, this is just a Lord Avocado build, and then I'm like freaking Angron at the end, and so it's. The Lord Avocado doesn't get his Warlord traits. There's no scout move here, but it's got Angron. And I was just kind of scratching my head a little bit about this one. But that is the 6-pack. So we've got the Zinch Demons, we've got the Big Tau, Hammerhead list. We've got the full mech Astra Militarum. We have the really beautiful MSU Nice Curve Yunari list, and then we have the Oops, I'm going to shoot you a lot Votan and the Angron Head Scratch World Eaters.
You say head scratch, but you can put that list into anything in the middle of the road. Anything in those second to fourth picks, you could put that list out there because those lists are probably not going to be super tailored to handling a potential second Angron. And
I'm not poo-pooing on the Angron. I'm definitely not poo-pooing on the Angron. It's the Angron with Lord Avocado. I think because he doesn't get the Warlord trade. Lord Avocado doesn't do as much as you would think he does in close combat. Like he's good. Don't get me wrong.
He's good. He's fine.
He's good. He's fine. Yeah, I think that's a better way to put it. He's fine. He's fine.
8 attacks.
He's there for. Yeah, sure. But why don't you just take some 8-bound instead, or something, or more berserkers, or 3 spawn because you didn't take them yet, you silly goose. Something like that, because for me, the only reason you take Avocado is for the scout move, and we're not having him.
Yeah,
he's still a beat stick, but even then, I think the regular guy on the Juggernaut is almost with the relic is almost better, right?
So there is a case for saying, hey, we're close to the end of the edition. I would like to play with Angron.
That's fair.
There is totally a case of that being a thing. And if I had a player and they were saying, hey, I've never played with Angron, I would like to, I'd be like, you should be able to play with your Angron. Please do so.
Well, we got folks in the chat. So Joel says, he's aggressive. Lord Avocado is aggressively fine.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
a Demon Prince might be better in that situation. But I do think on the side of, the pilot here is that Lord Invocatus is going to get into combat.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he's probably going to recycle Angron, and that may be enough to tip a lot of games there in the middle of the pack. And so I can get behind it.
Do it once.
Well, honestly,
for sure.
If you can pair World Eaters away from, pair them into a like matchup, if they're not playing guard, if they're not playing Votan Tau, if they're playing into a melee grindy matchup, Angron's a problem. You get Angron into demons, he's a problem. Oh, oops, 36 attacks. I don't care. Oh, Invuln, who cares? You're going to fail enough. Who cares? Let's see you later.
Did you just make a Zelda reference?
Maybe.
Is that what you just did? Oh my god, you got so many respect points from me.
I'm worthy of a few. Anyway, but he is a problem. If you can pair appropriately, Angron can become a gut check. You must be good enough to beat Angron to win the game. I don't hate it. I might not think it's the best choice of World Eaters, but as I'm making a case for Angron, he can be a big issue.
I am starting to like having an Angron in the lists a little bit more. I've seen him used to some great effect in some World Eater lists lately, and I've grown to like him. Not with Lord Avocado, but he does have a place. There's a way to use him for sure.
All right, well, that is the list for the event.
Yeah, and this is, again, normally we'd pick a winner. We're going to do something different a little bit this show. This is also where we'd pause to have a word from our sponsors. So if you know anyone would like to be a sponsor of the show, have a reach out to us. Just saw a comment from Christopher saying he's got a tournament next weekend. Throw those things in the chat or hit me on Twitter at Warmaster_TPM or at Fights with Dice on Instagram or messages to the show, anywhere
Or
that you
join
find
our
us.
Discord. The link is right in the You can see it on the
Well,
video. Right?
it's I think it's time we tell the people how they can support us directly, boys, because
Oh, is it
we
time?
we just have a Patreon page that went live literally before the show. Dustin, there's a link to it in the Discord if you want to chuck it up in the chat. But we are offering 3 beautiful tiers if you would like to support us. We have a $3 tier if you would just like to be a good walkrent, is what the tier is called.
Oh my
For
God,
the-
that's why you
the-
wanted the picture. I knew it.
You want to walk so we can fly. To be very much. That was the joke. That was the whole joke. Anyway, but that's the walkrent tier. You just want to support us, and we would be greatly appreciated if you do. There are it is not a small amount of effort to put this show together every week, and then we have hosting fees, a bunch of other things, possibly an editor, possibly want to pay Dustin some money for doing all the incredible wheeling and dealing and production that he does. Then we have the Storm Chaser. We have the Storm Chaser level, which is I believe it's $7. We're going to be doing another part of the show. We're actually going to be looking back. I mean, aghast as you may be, we're going to be looking back and we're going to be telling you what won the events we covered, who did well, what was the podium for the events we covered, and which of us 3 got closest to picking the winners. And we're going to be tracking month by month which 3 of us was the most accurate. And you can get that only joining at that tier. You also get access to the show notes. So the full show notes that I produce every week are going to be available for you to peruse at your own leisure, to look at, to gather, to muse over all the stats I gather, all the faction stats, all the super faction stats, the faction podiums, and all the lists that we pull out will be made available to the patrons of the Storm Chaser and above. And then if you go one higher, you're a true WMC. For $15, you get to decide and have a say on the Fuegos. We will prioritize reviewing your lists. Should we be able to, of an event that you are going to, should we be covering an event that you're going to, 1, possibly 2 of people of that tier will be reviewed on the show. We will break down your lists and you will be a priority for us to cover. It might be that we only do 1. Should it be like an LVO or whatnot? Unfortunately, we're not going to be doing that. We'll do one at random from that tier of the people in attendance. But a lot of exciting stuff. In addition, you get the rest of the swathe of other offerings as well. So there's a lot there to like. Jump over if you got the chance to. And I guess we're sponsoring ourselves this weekend. And yeah, if you love what we do,
Yeah, nice.
please give us a couple of bucks to support us. Like I said, I do. How many shows do we each do, boys?
3.
Yeah, Paul does 3, Dustin does 3, I do 3. This one takes more time to do than my other 2 put together. I'm not joking. This is a lot of effort goes into this show, and we're really proud of it. Hopefully you guys are too, and we're worth a couple of bucks. Anyway, let's move on.
No, that's well said. Thanks for that. Check it out. Even if you can't pledge now or jump in now, go take a look and see anything you made in the future. At least you know where it is. And also keep those comments and likes and shares and subscribes coming here. That is a hassle-free way to support the show that keeps the machine moving. Thank you very much for that. At the end of the show, we have a fun little palate cleanser. You have to stay tuned and see what that is if you're new here. The old hats know it's after we talk about all the crunchy stats and all the meta and everything. We get to kind of relax and hang out, do something fun. You don't want to miss it. The next event we're going to be talking about is the Bormio Grand Tournament 4 from Bormio, Spain. Also in Europe, I'm pretty sure neighbors.
Yeah.
To the event we were had before. 142 players in 23 teams of 6, 5-round event.
It's fantastic. In fact, you know what? Probably between rounds, they can walk over to the other venue and watch the games of the other tournament going on.
Yeah, that's right. You finish in a turn or 2, you just walk over to...
Yeah, if you're playing Knights or something, or Guard in a lot of cases, you just get to
catch a bus. Yeah, it's a good play. Catch the bus back just in time.
Perfect. Maybe you can even check out the Warhammer Fest over in London. That would be even closer.
Take the train up.
Take the train up, yeah. So the Imperial Super Faction, there's 3 Sisters of Battle, 14 Custodes, 3 Admech, 10 Astral Militarum. What the hell? 7 Grey Knights, 11 Imperial Knights, Space Marines, there's 1 Dark Angel. Wait. There's 9 Dark Angels at the other one. This guy didn't get the memo that all the Dark Angels were at the other event, apparently. Okay.
Yeah.
3 Space Wolves, 3 Blood Angels, 1 Ultramarine, 1 Salamander, 2 Black Templar, and 6 Iron Hands. Chaos, there's 6 Chaos Space Marines, 4 T-Suns, 6 Death Guard, 7 World Eaters, 12 Demons, 5 Renegade Knights. Xenos, there's 6 Necrons, 15 Orcs. Yep, there's that.
There it is.
14 Tau, 6 Votan. Hive Mind, there's 4 Tyranids, 1 Gene Stealer called the One Hero. Eldari, there's 5 Drukhari, 1 Harlequin, 6 Suriani, and 3 Yanari, meaning the faction podium is Orcs top 15. Custodes
what up, chat?
13, and Demons in third with 12. Wow.
Yeah, boy.
This is
boy.
And I will point out, orcs and custodes, and I think demons all broke the 50% mark.
Yeah,
Demons
like
barely.
They
what?
did.
What
Yep.
time period would you have seen a faction podium like this?
Orcs, custodes, demons? Oh, jeez.
Not since
Wow.
not since 8th edition, man. 8th edition would have been the last time. About middle 8th edition, you could have seen this before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's a really wild podium.
Since the introduction of squigs.
The joke that I had for myself when I saw the one Dark Angel was that this event has the no homers clause. They're allowed to have one. It was so funny to see that, like, just no Dark Angels. But that podium is really so it's actually the same amount of. There was 15.
Yeah,
orcs
15 to 15.
previous. 15 and 15. It doesn't matter. It's just that's how many they got.
It might be the same players. They're just run.
They just
It's-
run it back and forth.
That's true.
I love it so much. But this is an interesting breakdown. Once again, demons holding really strong. The Death Guard numbers are way down in comparison to the previous ones, but there are some other outliers. Once again, we see a pretty decent Yunari contingent. But also good Drakari numbers as well in that super faction, which is both outliers that we wouldn't see. I don't believe we'll see elsewhere. I'm going to have to correct Dustin. It's only 4 Tau, not 14, which I think everyone's actually happy about.
14?
It's all good. You might have been me mishearing,
think
but
I
only 4 Tau. But look at the Imperial Knights and Renegade Knights, and then look at the previous Imperial Knights and Renegade Knights. They're almost flipped.
Yeah.
So there was 9 and 9, and then there was 11 and 5. Yeah, 11 and 5. Interesting, really interesting stuff.
That's actually really strange because it's they're that close together, but the meta seems a little different in a few spots. Similar but different. Like Dark Angels is one big one. The flip of the Knights is what you're pointing out, and there's another one. They still have a lot of orcs. The other one. It's not that they didn't have a lot of. In fact, I think
Is one event using a different FAQ structure?
I'm actually not sure. It could be. It could be that there's like that's why the Dark Angels are such prevalent in the previous. Is that the FAQ is not in effect.
Teams might have been
Which would
locked
be
in.
weird.
Lists might have been locked
Yeah.
before. You know,
possible, yeah.
in
Would have
large
had to have
events.
been ages out.
And so tournaments, for anybody that maybe doesn't go to many large events very often, sometimes like the size of the event causes them to want to freeze in list or whatever, depending on when they ask their players to submit for like list checking. There's a million reasons. The tournament organizers are kind of they can make up their own rules, but everything is best for their players that are coming into attendance. So that's why you see lower variances like that. And we've recently had a balance update slate or data slate change, maybe before lists were locked. We don't know. We don't even know if they're using a different one, but I'm saying that's why it may be a possibility.
Yeah, exactly right. But as for the top team in attendance, well, one of the top teams, naturally. So I do have some insight into some Spanish clubs. And others, I'm just cherry picking the ones I like the look of, and this is one such example. The team here is called Shadow Sun, and they have Asher Miltar, Born Soldiers, 2 Tank Commanders, and 6 Lehman Russes. Pretty much tell you everything you need to know about this list. Next up, we have a Herpatrax Chaos Knight build with 13 smalls. I will tell you that there are no carnivores in this list. It's all some shooting knights or another, or executioners, stalkers, brigands. Then we have a Undivided Demons list with Bellicor, Scarbrand, Thirster, and then some pretty regular good stuff. Some Demonettes, Bloodthirsters, Bloodletters and Flamers, bits and pieces. Then we have the Death Skulls list, which we knew was coming, but this is a kind of a different take. This is a huge amount of MSU, but still has 3 kill rigs. We've seen previous examples of this that had no kill rigs and just had like max commandos, max stormboys, mega knobs, regular knobs, max boys, max Gretchen. Things like looters as well. But this has still got the kill rigs, 25 stormboys, a big unit of knobs, and then a bunch of MSU obsects. Still got a bunch of boys, still got a bunch of...
And those regular knobs, I mean, we've seen those become way more popular recently.
Exactly right. They are regular knobs, in fact, with a conglomerate of some have claws, some have big choppers. And of course, they're truck boys as well. And then we have Adept Astartes Iron Hands. This is actual, not successors. This is Iron Hands with the Iron Stone. We have 3 Gladiators, 3 Redemptors, 2 Invictors, and 3 units of 3 Suppressors.
Oh, I like that.
Wow.
I do like it. Funnily enough, when I was looking at it, I scratched my head for a second, and I'm like, That's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good. Depending on how you pair that list,
Mm-hmm.
as long as Strength 7 is good, that list is going to be a juggernaut.
Oh, if you go into something that Strength 7 is good into, it's just going to annihilate it.
It's just going to brutalize you. And then we have Custodies with Empress Chosen. It's got 4 Dreads, I think 1 or 2 Achilles and 1 or 2 Vendreads, and then 2x3 bikes, and then the usual suspects for the rest. Can you boys pick the theme for the 6-pack?
What?
It's
A lot of
thick.
vehicles.
Oh, I was about to say there's
thick.
everything. Yeah, there is a large models.
It is
Yeah.
all so very thick. Starting from the top, we have 8 toughness, 8 tanks with 2+ armor save. You have 13 small knights. We have 3 greater demons, one of which is Bellicor, very hard to kill, one of which is wound gated in the Thirster. We have 3 kill rigs. Then we have 3 gladiators, and then essentially 5 dreadnoughts, all with minuses to damage. And then one of the gladiators will be minus damage as well from the Ironstone. And then we have 4 dreads and 6 bikes. This is a thick 6-pack.
That's pretty thick. I do want to point out though that their name is Shadow Sun and they don't have a Tau player.
I know. It's almost like that's the meme, like the little
It's
John,
ironic.
and it's a massive dude. Like it's just like, we don't need him.
I just had
That
to
is,
point that out. I do
the
like I do
irony.
like the team though. It's gonna a lot of teams are gonna have trouble actually picking that apart because the amount of teams that'll have 6 lists to kill 6 big things. Not many. They're just gonna have to try to score them in a lot of cases.
Exactly right. And there's a couple of these that operate really well in every table. Like the Death Skulls list can just be like, oh, we're on a heavy, kill rigs in reserve, and then we just play the board. Kill rigs can come on from the sides where they've got better angles rather than trying to.
I don't think they'll ever be on a heavy. I mean, like.
Well, this is the thing though. Who gets the light tables? There's a bit of a scramble on here because a few of these need them. Like
the Iron Hands,
Cast
I
Knights
think,
and
need it, and so do the
the Iron Hands and the Chaos Knights and the Astra Militarum. Two of those need to end up on the line.
With 13, with it just the War Dogs, I think they'd be all right. I think your Astra Militarum and the Iron Hands want the
those
lower.
are the 2 that
want
need
the
it.
no cover.
And
So-
I think the Iron Hands need it more.
If I was wielding this and I was prioritizing the 2, the Iron Hands and the Guard exist in the open the best of all these lists. They don't die in the open the best. So it'll be those 2 getting priority picks for the first 2 put-ups, and then it's just kind of whichever makes the most sense for the opposition for the rest. The Custodians can play on any table really well. The Demons can play on any table really well. So those are the 2 you want to hold for the back end, and they just can kind of do well on what's left. But those 2 in the middle, the Chaos Knights and the Death Skulls need a little bit of protection, but not too much. So when you break it down, you kind of have 2 that want to pick, 2 that would like to pick, and 2 that don't care. And that's kind of perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty good. That's exactly. I think you just summed up exactly one of the things you factor into your calculus when you're putting together a list. And these seem to stack up really well. Awesome.
It does, and whilst also being really thick and pushing a hard skew archetype. So I think they've put it together pretty well. This is pretty much why I liked it, because they've got an overarching archetype to the full 6-pack, but then it still kind of makes a fairly decent amount of sense when you break them down.
Taran says, too bad there's no gas.
Yeah, I know. Guys would have been really good in that. We have one more slide before we hit that Fuego, boys. And this is an interesting one. Because we had 3 teams events, I wanted to take some time to break down and compare the super faction stats and the faction podiums from all 3 next to each other. So let's have a quick breakdown of what we see here. So from left to right, we have the 2 degree, the largest of our events. So these are largest to smallest on the event size from left to right. On our faction podium for 2 degrees, we have Demons, Custodies, Guard, and Death Guard. And then from Bermeo, we have Orcs, Custodies, and Demons. And California, we have Astra Militarum, World Eaters, Renegade Knights, Votan, Orcs, Chaos Demons, and GSC. Pretty easy to see which is the most diverse meta there, right?
Yeah.
Pretty easy to see.
And is that the smaller team too? I think
that's the smallest.
Yeah.
Exactly right. That is the smallest one. So where you'd expect to have the least diversity has the most.
That will say it's. I bet that area is pulling from a larger pool of more diverse metas because of where it maybe falls in the state and the states around it.
Right.
Perfectly said, Paul. Whereas the 2 Spanish events are almost cutting each other's lunch. So that's perfectly.
And if you can count 400 people,
Some degree, you rob from Peter to pay Paul.
But they're all kind of homogenous, though. I would imagine. I think that they most likely have formed about what is good from them all playing each other at some point, though.
Well, it's interesting to see because even like in my local meta, I don't know about like however other people play in their local metas, but my meta in terms of like city to city, I think if you go outside of maybe 100 clicks or miles if you're in the States,
What's
100
a click?
kilometers. If you go outside about 100, the meta just changes. Like it's actually different, even though you're really close to each other, and you probably play each other in a lot of tournaments, like the bigger ones too. But the meta is very specific to very local regions, so it's actually crazy to see even two events that are so close to each other actually have diverse metas.
Yeah, it's kind of beautiful to see such diversity in the wild. I would like to point out that the last thing I'll notice on the numbers of factions represented, California has 7 factions represented on their podium. 2 Degree and Bermeo have 7 combined. So California is as diverse as the other two put together, technically just by the faction podiums. But look into the super faction stats, you'll notice, especially on the Space Marine front, California is way down on the Space Marines. 2 Degrees has 35, and then Bermeo has 17, which is kind of on track for the amount of players they've got. But then only 7 for California is a huge drop off for that region.
Yeah, even like percentage wise, that's below.
Yeah, way below par.
For sure.
Yeah, so that is an interesting one. The other one I'd want to point out is that the one that almost tracks perfectly is the Eldari. It actually tracks almost perfectly by percentage, the same amount. I thought that was really interesting.
Playing Eldari for 4 editions
forever.
It's true. Like Eldari, the Eldari players are generally Eldari players. There's a very, very small amount of people that will meta jump onto them when they're really good. I think most of the Eldari players, they already have Eldari.
Yeah. That's right, exactly right. We can say the same for many of the Chaos players out there also.
Yeah.
Another one to point out is the hive mind makes no sense whatsoever. Just putting it out there.
I mean, we've been telling Dustin that for a solid year.
Exactly.
Absolutely no sense. That's how we like to play. I like that.
There's zero information to be gleaned from the hive mind. That's how they like it.
I love it. I think there's good Tyranid builds too. I don't know if people are sleeping on them or what. Like I'm just playing some Tyranids just because I wanted to have some fun with some Tyranid builds. They're really good.
Well, right. So I was hoping when I put these super factions next to each other, there would be a bunch of stuff that didn't make sense, but there's actually a lot that does make sense. We've already talked about the biggest one that doesn't, is the Space Marines are all and the Hive Mind are the two that are all over the place. But Imperium tracks almost perfectly down by 20 players, 62 to 41 to 20, and then Chaos is the same, 62 to 40 to 23. It's really kind of super interesting how much logic there is across geography.
That is funny.
It
just goes to show the team meta right now is actually really good right now, because I think singles events, if we did this with our 3, we should maybe do this with our 3 singles events one week, because I want to see the diversity there if it's actually that much different too, because I feel like for singles this dynamic will be very different.
Yeah, exactly right. That would be the thing, right? Would it make more sense in singles or less? We might have to do it one week and suss it out. All right. Next time we have 3 like 100 plus player events from 3 different continents or 3 different, geographically distant places, we will do this again and we will have a gaze.
You have to do this in 9, so it's comparable.
Has to be for 9.
Do it again in 10th later on.
I'm glad you brought up, all the continents around the world. We do have worldwide coverage. We bring the biggest and best tournaments from all over the place into one place for us to talk about it, and it's been exciting. We're wrapping up this show here in a second, but not before that little palate cleanser I was talking about, the little special thing just to ease us off into the evening, or on your ride home from work, or we won't tell anybody if you're listening at work. We call this segment the Fuego Rapido. This is, we don't know where it came from. Where these questions come from, the topics come from.
They may come from our top Patreon tier very soon.
These ones did actually come from 5 random fans of the show. I just asked them all to give us one question for Fuego this week. So if you become a patron, you can actually do this too. But because of this, these are 5 very, very random questions.
We give ourselves 2 minutes on the clock per topic. We give some comments about the topic as soon as the clock is stopped. The topic is abandoned, never to be approached again unless a Patreon subscriber requested.
There it is.
So as soon as that clock starts, the festivities begin, and then we're off to the races.
Okay, number 1. Have you ever collected stickers that are on fruits?
Look, I know. I'm pretty sure as a kid that banana sticker or whatever,
Banana, yeah.
yeah, had to have been cool.
I'm pretty sure it was the
I
apple sticker for me.
So only time is so kiwi fruit, banana. I would always take them off and put them on top of my lunchbox. There wasn't any
Yeah.
active like collecting of them. That's just where they went.
That is collecting.
That's collecting.
That actually is
that
actively
qualifies.
collecting.
So there wasn't any acknowledgement of collecting. Like it wasn't by purpose. It was just
That's
like
it's instinctual.
that's just where they go, either
Yeah.
there or in the middle of your forehead, which is the only right thing is to
Well,
do with such
There,
stickers.
I remember in elementary school, there was an unspoken competition of who had the most stickers on their lunchbox. So I know that was actually, I think that was a more common. Where did you put them, Paula? Did you actually have like a box you put them on, or was you just?
No, I'm pretty sure I just carried it around with me for a day or so.
Oh, so you just picked it off, and this was yours for the
Yeah.
day.
I was going to show you a picture of, or put my laptop cover on camera, but I realized you can't do that because it is the
The thing you were recording upon.
It's the thing.
That would be awkward and funny at the same time. I would have been down. I
Like,
was
what's
hoping
happening?
you wouldn't have noticed it until afterwards. That would have been better.
The whole world is spinning. But yeah, I think definitely have to at some point. We are collectors of things. I'm sure we all have miniatures or cards or whatever. I'm sure fruit stickers.
See, that's the thing.
Part of that
Maybe that
process.
was that the first thing you ever collected? Fruit stickers?
I don't remember. No, it had to be like seashells or rocks or something.
Yeah,
You
I
you
think it
just
was.
find-
The first thing I ever collected was actually GI Joes.
Ooh, nice. Not bad.
And it got to the point that my mom used it as a bribe for me and my brother whenever we were in a car. Like if we
Yeah.
didn't cause problems in the car when we got wherever we were going, she bought us a GI Joe each.
Proud dad moment is that both of my sons have both played with my collection of GI Joes.
That is
There's
Nice.
That is a beautiful thing. Proud dad moment indeed. That's fuego. Next one. What is the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Ooh, this is a good one. I believe I have eaten dog.
What?
Ugh.
Knowingly?
Yeah.
Or just
No.
after the fact, kind of like that was
Yes.
dog.
Correct. The second one. So I had some mates who owned a restaurant in Chinatown, and I used to kind of hang out the back with them because they were the chef and owner. And one time he fed me something, and I'm like, "Try this for me. I want to know what you think." And then he's like, "Haha, you ate a dog," and I'm like, "Fuck." So
They had to be pulling your leg.
I hope he was,
Yeah.
but I would not. It's the kind of guy where I would not put it past him to have done that.
I'm not really an adventurous eater for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, but maybe as a kid, did you eat something that you?
Well, like carrots,
Carrot? As a kid,
No.
I guess.
As a kid, right? I was like,
broccoli. There. I actually have
No.
all like these kids books now. Like, and one of them was like giving them giving them how to pronounce things properly, and one of them was ick. And it had a picture of broccoli. Oh, great! So we're already going to teach them not to eat broccoli. This is good.
no. I mean, I've had fried octopus. I don't know, but is it fried? Is it weird if it's fried?
I mean, anything
No.
is edible when it's fried, right?
Octopus is delicious.
It is actually pretty
Yeah.
good.
I mean, like a full-on tentacle,
Yep.
Artemis Steve, you probably ate a dog down in Mexico. Yes. So I got really sick in Mexico, and then a Mexican doctor gave me a shot of antibiotics in the butt and a bunch of pills, and then I had the most concrete stomach I'd ever had in my life. Nothing could harm me, and I just went about eating random stuff from street vendors for like 2
Oh,
weeks.
street
With
food.
Zero repercussions, guys. Zero repercussions.
Mm.
No toilets were harmed in the making of those 2 weeks, and it was really cool because it was delicious, but I have no idea what I was eating.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fuego. Next one. Do you put butter before putting the peanut butter on? Are you one of those people?
No,
Depends on what. On a sandwich, maybe.
Well, what else do you put peanut butter on that you would put butter on?
I eat it with a spoon at times, or I put it in milkshakes,
Okay, I mean, if you
or
put
like
butter on with a
smoothies,
spoon
or
before you put the
or
peanut butter on,
carrot,
that's a different
celery.
but carrot.
Yeah, it's
Carrot?
delicious.
I've
Peanut
never
butter
had
is
peanut butter on a
delicious.
carrot.
Do not
It doesn't
do
really
not
stick
deny
to a
yourselves.
carrot. The
That's
carrot
true.
is too moist to really hold the peanut butter, stick to it. Celery, much better vessel for the peanut butter.
Celery's
That is true.
the only thing I've tried peanut butter with, and I still don't like the celery after that.
So
Oh,
I
we don't
I
have a
think
clock. We could talk about this forever.
Oh my god!
it's right. It's right. I'm a yes. I do sometimes put butter on before peanut butter.
No, that sounds crazy.
Yeah, on toast. Yeah, you melt some butter into
Is
the
that like a
toast. Let
south
it.
of the equator thing?
I've
No,
no idea.
we've
I'm
done
just
that
a
up here. Like my mom used to put butter on it before she put peanut butter on, or she actually put butter on a sandwich before putting like mustard, mayo, anything. She put a little bit of butter on it before she put that on there. She said it would help it spread.
I think she was just
I
lying
think
to
she was just
herself.
justifying it, yeah.
I mean, butter is delicious, and I'm not saying don't put it on there if you like it. I'm just saying, why on earth would you?
You fair?
I mean, yeah. I've always liked it though. I don't think I actually put
Because
butter.
butter
on,
is delicious. That's
but
why
I don't put butter on anything anymore. Like I don't put it on sandwiches. I use it to cook certain things. Like I'll use it to cook some steaks. If I'm frying some steaks and putting them in the oven, I'll use butter for that because that makes it nice and moist. Or like chicken, or any kind of thick meat, butter helps make it really
Basically,
tender.
anything you've ever heard you said this is made with love, it means a half stick of
It
butter.
means
Butter.
Yeah, I have to stick of
Butter.
butter.
Yeah.
And most things you eat at the restaurants have a lot of butter on it. That's like
yeah,
that's
a lot of butter,
the
and
trick.
anything you buy in a grocery store will have a lot of salt.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of the way things work when you eat out in some way.
I think we solved this one, boys.
Yeah.
Yep. No is the answer.
Yes.
Fair. 2v1.
The dumbest thing you've ever cried about.
Oh,
I've got a good one for this. If you boys don't.
Go for it.
So I came back from my last trip to the States in 2022, and my partner had put this giant fern bush in our bathroom, and I was constantly like having to gently move like leaves and branches out of the way, like wash my hands and brush my teeth. And eventually like, I'm not joking, like I did this for like a month or two before I was just like, okay, I don't want to break this plant. Let's just move this out of the way. Then this is annoying. Why is this an annoying plant here? And I ended up bringing it up to my partner, like, why is there a big fern bush in the bathroom? Like, why did you decide to do that? And like, I had to keep moving it out of the way. I'm afraid I'm going to break it. And she's like, it's fake, right? I'm like, I went directly to the bathroom and looked at it, and this must have been the first time I truly looked at it because it was fake as shit. And then I cried about how stupid I felt. I'm like, oh my god, it's so fake. Been treating it like it was real. I'm just happy I didn't try and water it.
you had built it up in your head as a thing, as you thought you had challenged this situation, with your partner, and
Yeah,
and it was nothing.
it was nothing. I felt like such a fool.
Well,
Anyway,
at least you cried happy or felt stupid cry. Mine was just embarrassing. I was pretty young. I was actually really young, but it was Halloween. My stepmother painted she did an awesome job painting my face as like a Ninja Turtle. And I was so excited because I loved Ninja Turtles at the time because I was a kid and Ninja Turtles were awesome. Went to the movies with my stepsisters, and we went to go see Ernest Scared Stupid. It was in theaters. That's how long ago this was. Ernest Scared Stupid for the Ernest P. Worrell fans. And at the end, when he was crying, there's nothing in the tree for him. I cried as a kid. That made me cry, and it ruined my face.
Seems reasonable.
It was terrible.
that's pretty reasonable.
That's I go for that one. And
Paul,
last
did
but
you have
not
one?
least,
I just need to know if you had one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure I have. Although I will say that one of the silliest things that like triggers a cry is if I see someone that I respect as strong and are empowering or whatever. If they're crying, I'm crying.
yeah, that's
Fair.
fair.
Yeah, that gets me too.
That's fair.
Gets me too.
Last but not least, you guys are so immature. Have you ever pooped your pants?
Oh, I mean, who hasn't?
I mean,
Yes.
I have a story behind this one. For sure.
You need to start the
you-
clock. Go and
By all
run this
means,
one
yeah.
out.
Yeah, I gotta go
2
get the
minutes.
clock.
Someone's got to give up their dignity for this fuego.
Oh my goodness.
Grade 7.
We're starting this channel off strong, by the way.
Grade
We are.
7.
We are.
Grade 7. This is what happened. I was in my art class. It was early in the morning, and I was just like painting one of my projects, getting some extra work done, and I had to fart, so I farted. And
Oh no.
but like I wasn't. I was like, man, I have to fart again. And then you ever had one of those farts that like, oh, I think this fart might not be a fart. It
Mhm.
wasn't a fart.
Oh my
It
goodness.
was just not a fart.
We got to rethink this whole people submitting Fuego
Yeah.
questions.
There'll be a curation is about to
curation.
is about to be in
Gonna have
place.
to. I'm gonna need you need to copy me on this email, please.
How bad did it get? How bad did it get, Dustin?
It got pretty bad. I had to.
Did you do the little penguin walk to
Yeah,
the dunny?
I ran. I ran to the bathroom.
Oh,
Luckily,
okay.
my mom was one of the teachers at the school I was going to at the time, so I had to get her to drive me home. I told her I was sick. She didn't know I wasn't actually sick. I just pooped my pants. But that's what happened.
There you go.
Now
Well,
everybody knows.
and now
why
she's
I
watching,
Actually,
you know,
why I actually went home from school that day.
That's
No,
pretty good.
everyone in your school watches this show now.
Yep,
and
everyone
they
in
all
school
know.
watches
Secrets
it,
out.
for
It's a
sure.
weight lifted.
Wait, yeah,
If I
I feel
could
so much
if
better
I
now.
could have just done that and gotten out of school as a young man, I
probably
probably
just done it on
would have at some
purpose?
stage. Yeah, I would have done. I possibly could have done it on purpose.
It
Anyway,
did not go through the
I'm
pants, Joel. No, it did not go through the pants.
I'm happy you took that one because I had far more recent and horrific stories to tell.
Was it before the shot in Mexico? Was that what you were
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there was like a week where I was just like could not leave more than 3 meters from a toilet. My whole life was moving from one toilet to another.
Oh my goodness! But no, the stories you could see and hear. That is, thankfully, we put this segment out of its misery.
So there was one I was thinking about where I didn't actually, crap my pants, but I was in New Orleans this year and during a parade when you're just in like the middle of a street and just being like, oh, I have to go very soon. This is such a bad place to need to go. It's like thousands of people in every direction. I have no idea, truly no idea where I am. Like the fear, if I'd take a morale check, then I was so screwed.
Oh, you're that was it.
He's bottled up.
Yeah.
Well, seriously, this is the second episode we've got here on this channel. Gonna come out as a podcast. Going to be here and live as a video on YouTube. Got lots of chat activity. It was amazing. Please tell everyone that we're over here so they can come join us as well. Maybe that is how they come and hang out in the chat. Paint, do some stuff after the fact. Listen to us. Leave us those 5-star reviews. Don't forget to subscribe. Throw some comments on the actual video itself for random engagement bumps and that kind of stuff. Adam and Dustin, it's been a pleasure. We will be back next week. See y'all soon, everybody.
See you next week.
See yous.